Princess Leora of the planet Viridia stood on the balcony of her grand palace, her eyes tracing the sparkling lights of the city below. The sky was tinted with deep purples and soft blues, as though the planet itself was painted in delicate colors for her alone. But no matter how beautiful the world looked, Leora's heart felt empty. She had everything a princess could want: luxurious clothes, fine food, jewels that glimmered like stars, but she had no companion to share her life with. For many years, Viridia had sent invitations across the galaxy. Alien suitors from countless civilizations traveled to the palace, hoping to win the hand of the young princess. Some were powerful, commanding entire fleets of ships. Others were wise and learned, carrying knowledge from distant worlds. Yet, despite all their qualities, none could capture Leora's heart. It was not for lack of effort on their part. The aliens brought gifts that shone brighter than diamonds, presented feats of strength that could crush mountains, and recited poems older than the oldest trees of Viridia. But something in the princess remained untouched. Perhaps it was the way they boasted of their power, or the way they expected her to admire only their wealth and skill. Leora, kind and thoughtful, wanted someone who understood more than appearances, someone who saw the world as she did. The palace was filled with whispers and gossip. "The princess is impossible," the council muttered. "No alien dares to win her favor." Leora overheard the words sometimes and felt a mix of frustration and sadness. She wondered if she would ever find someone who cared for her as she was, not for her status or her beauty. On this particular morning, the palace buzzed with unusual excitement. A delegation from Earth, a small blue planet in a distant galaxy, had arrived. The humans were said to be curious and brave, though not particularly strong or technologically advanced compared to many alien civilizations. Some members of the royal court looked at the humans with skepticism, barely concealing their amusement. Others simply ignored them, thinking that no human could ever be a suitable companion for the princess. Leora watched as the humans entered the great hall, her curiosity quietly growing. They looked different from all the other aliens she had met. Their movements were simple, not flaunting power or wealth. Their expressions were open and friendly, without the arrogance many aliens carried. Among the humans, one young man stood out. His hair was dark and his eyes shone with a clear, steady curiosity. He moved with confidence, but it was a gentle kind of confidence, not one that demanded attention. When his gaze met Leora's, he gave a small nod of respect. She felt a small flicker of something she had not felt in years, a sense of connection, fragile but real. The human introduced himself as Captain Ryan, a leader of the Earth delegation. Unlike other suitors who arrived in extravagant ships or armored suits, Ryan's craft was modest, practical, and built for exploration rather than show. The contrast was striking. Where others flaunted their power, he brought humility. Where others expected to impress, he simply listened. The banquet that evening was held in the palace's grand hall. Crystal chandeliers reflected light across the polished floors, and long tables were filled with exotic foods from across the galaxy. Alien suitors performed displays of skill and elegance, trying to catch Leora's attention. Some danced with precision, their movements faster than human eyes could follow. Others recited poetry in languages filled with tones Leora had never heard before. When it was Ryan's turn to speak, he did not perform a grand display. Instead, he approached with a polite bow and offered words that were simple but thoughtful. He asked Leora about her interests, about the things she loved, and about the planet she called home. Leora was taken aback. No one had ever asked her such questions before. Most assumed her desires and dreams did not matter, or they only wanted to know what gifts she desired. They spoke quietly, almost unnoticed by the other guests. Ryan asked about the palace gardens, about the stars in the Viridian sky, about the creatures that roamed the distant forests. Leora found herself answering freely, telling him stories that she had never shared with anyone else. The more she spoke, the more she realized how rare it was to meet someone who listened with true interest. Some of the alien suitors watched in disbelief. They whispered among themselves, unable to understand why the princess seemed so drawn to a human. "He is weak," one of them muttered. "He has no power, no technology, no wealth. How can he be worthy?" Others nodded, some feeling annoyance, others curiosity. Leora did not care. For the first time in her life, she felt a spark of excitement. She wanted to know more about this human, not because he was different from other aliens, but because he seemed real, honest, and brave in a way that could not be measured by strength or status. After the banquet, Leora walked alone in the palace gardens. The soft glow of bioluminescent flowers lit her path, and the cool night air whispered through the trees. She thought about Ryan and the simplicity of his presence. While aliens competed with grandeur and spectacle, he offered something else entirely: sincerity, curiosity, and a willingness to understand her world. Yet, Leora also felt doubt. Could a human truly be accepted by her people? The royal court had certain expectations, traditions that stretched back thousands of years. Aliens were chosen not only for their qualities, but for their status, their alliances, and their ability to strengthen Viridia's position in the galaxy. A human, unknown and underestimated, could never fit in, or so everyone said. Still, the princess could not ignore the feeling that grew in her chest. Hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, Ryan could show her a different way to live, a life not dictated by duty or fear of judgment, but by understanding, courage, and friendship. The next morning, Leora found herself waiting near the palace gates, hoping to see Ryan again. When he appeared, carrying a small device to help explore the planet's surface, she felt her heart lift. He greeted her with a friendly smile, and together they walked through the gardens, talking about the stars, the rivers, and the creatures of Viridia. Ryan listened intently, and Leora felt that rare sense of being understood. Other aliens watched them and whispered. Some laughed quietly, confident that a human could never win the princess. Others looked thoughtful, surprised by the human's patience and curiosity. But Leora did not notice. She only noticed the way Ryan's eyes reflected the soft glow of the flowers, the way his words made her smile, and the strange, wonderful feeling of hope growing in her heart. By the end of the day, Princess Leora realized something extraordinary. For the first time in her life, she did not feel completely alone. The galaxy was vast, full of beings who valued power, status, and strength. Yet here was a human who valued understanding, kindness, and courage. Perhaps the universe had placed him here for a reason. As night fell and the twin moons rose over Viridia, Leora returned to her balcony. The lights of the city sparkled below, but they seemed different now. They no longer reflected her loneliness, but her curiosity, her hope, and the possibility of a future she had not dared to imagine. Somewhere in the distance, a human captain smiled under the same stars, unaware of the impact he had made. But Leora felt it deeply. For the first time, she believed that connection could exist beyond tradition, beyond expectation, and even beyond the stars, and so, the young princess, long shunned by alien suitors, began to dream of a new possibility. A human who might see her not as a prize, but as a person, as a friend, and perhaps, in time, something far more. The palace whispered its judgment. The court murmured their doubts, and the galaxy continued its endless hum. But on the balcony of her golden palace, Princess Leora smiled, feeling a spark of hope that could not be ignored. A human had come forward, and for the first time, the princess felt that perhaps the impossible was within reach. The sun rose over the palace of Viridia, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. The twin moons, fading from the night sky, left faint silver trails on the horizon. Inside the palace, the grand hall buzzed with activity. Servants scurried along polished floors, setting up for another day of receptions, meetings, and, of course, alien suitors. Yet amid all the glitter and ceremony, Princess Leora found herself thinking only of one person, the human, Captain Ryan. Ryan had spent the morning exploring the palace gardens, carefully studying the exotic plants and strange creatures that roamed freely. Unlike the alien visitors, he did not seem impressed by displays of wealth or power. Instead, he marveled at the simple beauty of the world, asking questions, observing details, and showing genuine curiosity. Leora watched him from a balcony above, her fingers tracing the railing. There was something about the way he moved, so unhurried and yet attentive, that drew her in. He did not try to impress, did not flaunt strength or knowledge. He simply existed in a way that made others notice, not because he demanded it, but because he was real. When Ryan noticed her gaze, he raised his hand in a gentle greeting. Leora smiled and descended the stairs to meet him. As she approached, she saw a small smile play on his lips, and she felt a flutter of excitement in her chest. "Princess Leora," Ryan said with respect, "it is an honor to meet you outside the hall. Your gardens are remarkable." "They are beautiful, yes," Leora replied, trying to sound casual. "But I think you see more than most. You notice the small things, the way the petals curve, the way the water moves." Ryan shrugged lightly. "I find that the smallest details often tell the greatest stories." His gaze softened. "And I want to hear your story, Princess. Not what others say, but what you think, what you feel." Leora's heart skipped a beat. Few had ever asked her this. Not the alien suitors, not the advisors, not even her own family. Most saw her as a symbol, a prize to be claimed, not a person to be understood. Yet here was a human who wanted nothing more than to know her thoughts. They walked through winding paths lined with glowing flowers, past streams that shimmered under the rising sun. Ryan asked questions about her childhood, about the festivals of Viridia, about the creatures she had watched grow since she was a girl. Leora answered freely, surprised by the ease of conversation. She had never spoken so openly, never shared so many details without fear of judgment. As they spoke, alien suitors began to notice. Some stopped to watch, whispering to each other. "Why does she spend time with him?" one asked, incredulous. "He is weak, a human. He cannot match us in power or knowledge." Another, older and more diplomatic, shook his head slowly. "Perhaps it is not about strength. Perhaps she sees something in him that we do not." Meanwhile, Ryan remained unaware of the court's scrutiny. He focused entirely on Leora, listening carefully, offering thoughtful responses, and occasionally asking gentle questions that made her think. "You know," Ryan said, stopping, near a small fountain where water danced in tiny arcs. "I have seen many worlds, but this one, it feels alive. There is something about it that is different. Perhaps it is your care for it, Princess." Leora laughed softly. "Perhaps it is just the magic of Viridia. But thank you. It is rare that anyone notices, really notices." Ryan smiled. "Humans notice. We may not have the strongest ships or the fastest technology, but we look, we listen, and we try to understand. Sometimes that is more than enough." Leora felt warmth spread through her chest. The words were simple, yet powerful. She had been surrounded by beings who valued power, glory, and appearance. None had ever offered her such sincerity. Later in the palace hall, a formal reception was held to introduce the humans properly to the royal court. Alien dignitaries and suitors filled the space, their robes shimmering with metallic threads, their voices echoing with pride and authority. They presented gifts, performed dances, and demonstrated feats of strength. Each tried in their own way to impress the princess. Ryan, however, approached differently. He spoke of exploration, of curiosity, and of understanding. He asked questions about Viridia's culture, about the princess's people, and about the challenges of ruling a planet. His questions were thoughtful, his manner respectful. He did not boast, he did not demand attention, yet those who listened could not help but notice the quiet confidence in his words. The contrast was striking. Aliens flaunted strength, knowledge, and wealth. Ryan offered something intangible: sincerity, curiosity, and respect. It was not a show, not a challenge, not a performance. It was simply human honesty, and it shone brighter than any display of power. Some members of the court whispered doubts. A human? She speaks to him freely, and he is ordinary. Another added, "This is impossible. He cannot match us in status or power. How could he ever be worthy?" But Leora ignored them. She only noticed the way Ryan's eyes lit up when she described the palace gardens, the rivers of Viridia, and the festivals she had attended as a child. She noticed the way he listened, not to respond, but to understand. For the first time, she felt seen, truly seen, in a way that no alien suitor had ever managed. Days passed, and Ryan remained at the palace, participating in tours, discussions, and diplomatic meetings. Every moment was a lesson for him, a chance to learn and grow. He made mistakes, of course. He stumbled over alien languages, misinterpreted customs, and occasionally caused unintended offense. Yet, he never gave up. Each mistake became an opportunity to try again, to listen, and to understand. Leora admired this persistence. She had never seen someone who approached life with such patience and determination. Alien suitors often relied on power, technology, or heritage to solve problems. Ryan relied on something else entirely: his mind, his heart, and his courage. One afternoon, as the twin moons began to rise and bathe the gardens in silver light, Leora and Ryan found themselves alone near a reflective pool. The water mirrored the sky, the palace towers, and their own faces. "Princess," Ryan began, softly, "I know I am different from those who usually come to your world. I do not have the ships, the armies, or the influence that others possess. I cannot offer the same things." Leora shook her head. "I do not care for power or influence. I care for honesty, for courage, for someone who sees the world as I do. You have all of those things." Ryan's lips curved in a small smile. "Then perhaps the galaxy is not as small as we think. Perhaps there is room for someone like me." Leora's heart lifted. She had spent so long feeling isolated, rejected, and unseen. Now with this human she felt hope. For the first time she wondered if it might be possible to find companionship, understanding, and perhaps even love beyond the limits of tradition or expectation. Not everyone was pleased by this growing connection. Alien suitors whispered, some openly mocking Ryan, others plotting to challenge his presence. Yet Leora found herself standing taller, speaking more freely, and laughing more often. She realized that no matter what the court said, her happiness was hers to choose. By the end of the week, Ryan had become a constant presence in the palace. He explored secret passages, learned about Viridia's history, and listened to Leora's hopes and dreams. He made small but meaningful gestures, helping gardeners with delicate plants, assisting the palace staff, and even gently calming nervous animals. Each act, simple as it was, revealed a strength of character that the alien suitors could not match. And through it all, Princess Leora felt a quiet but undeniable truth growing within her. Humans, fragile as they might appear compared to other civilizations, carried qualities that were rare, perhaps even unique. Empathy, resilience, curiosity, and courage were their strengths, qualities that no alien weapon or technological marvel could replace. As the sun set behind the distant mountains, painting the sky in deep orange and violet, Leora and Ryan stood together in the palace gardens. The air was filled with the soft hum of Viridia's creatures, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the distant echo of palace bells. "You have changed something in me, Ryan," Leora said softly. "I feel seen. I feel alive. For the first time, I do not feel so alone." Ryan looked at her, his eyes steady and warm. "And you have changed me, Princess. You have shown me the beauty of this world and the courage of its people. I may be a human, but here I feel like I belong." The princess smiled, a smile that reached her eyes and softened her heart. For the first time, she believed that perhaps a human could not only enter her world but change it, and perhaps change her life forever. As the night deepened and the stars emerged, Leora felt a sense of hope she had never known. The human before her was not just a visitor or a curiosity. He was someone who could challenge her, inspire her, and walk beside her in ways no alien had ever done. And so in the heart of the palace, amid whispers and judgment, Princess Leora and Captain Ryan began a connection that would grow stronger, challenging expectations, breaking barriers, and lighting the first spark of a story that would ripple across the galaxy. The alien suitors watched with suspicion, the council murmured in doubt, and the palace continued its quiet rhythm. Yet Leora no longer felt the loneliness that had haunted her for years. For the first time, she dared to hope, and the galaxy, wide and uncertain, seemed a little smaller, a little brighter, and a little more full of possibility. The Palace of Viridia had rarely seen such a gathering. The Royal Council had convened in the Great Hall, its high ceilings and crystal chandeliers reflecting the early morning light. Princess Leora stood at the center, her eyes fixed on the humans and alien suitors arrayed before her. The council had decided it was time to test the human captain, Ryan, to determine whether he was worthy of even being considered as a companion for the princess. The trials were not easy. They were designed for beings far more powerful than humans, creatures with skills honed over thousands of years, abilities that could manipulate energy, control gravity, or move faster than light. The council expected Ryan to fail. Many of the alien suitors openly sneered at the idea of a human competing with them. "He is fragile," one of them whispered. "He cannot endure our trials." But Ryan did not flinch. He stood tall, listening carefully as the rules were explained. The first trial was one of agility and strategy. Navigate a complex obstacle course designed to test reflexes, intelligence, and problem-solving. Alien participants had bodies adapted for speed, flight, or telepathy. Ryan, by comparison, was entirely human, relying only on his mind, his body, and his courage. The course began. Metallic platforms floated over a shimmering pit of light. Energy barriers shifted unpredictably, and holographic creatures appeared to block paths. Ryan's first step was careful, calculating each movement. Where aliens relied on raw power, he used observation and reasoning. He noticed the patterns of the barriers, the timing of the floating platforms, and the behavior of the holographic creatures. Step by step, he advanced, falling only once and quickly recovering. He paused, considering each decision, and relied on his instinct as much as his intellect. When the alien suitors scoffed at his slower pace, he ignored them, focusing only on the challenge. Princess Leora watched from above, her heart swelling with admiration. Ryan was not the fastest or the strongest, yet his determination, patience, and courage were undeniable. By the end of the course, Ryan had completed it successfully. Not the fastest, perhaps, but complete. The council murmured in surprise. Some aliens frowned, unwilling to admit that a human had succeeded. Others, however, exchanged quiet nods of respect. The second trial tested knowledge and creativity. The participants were presented with a puzzle chamber, filled with ancient symbols, complex machinery, and riddles that could only be solved by understanding the connections between logic, history, and science. Alien suitors often relied on memory and advanced technology to decode the symbols instantly. Ryan, however, had only his mind and intuition. He studied the symbols carefully, drawing on his observations from Earth, his understanding of patterns, and the way different systems interacted. Slowly, steadily, he began to unlock the mechanisms, aligning symbols and activating the machines with a combination of intelligence and creativity. When the final mechanism clicked into place, the chamber opened to reveal a cascade of glowing energy, a sign of success. Leora clapped softly, her eyes shining. Ryan turned to her, offering a small bow of acknowledgement, but his focus quickly returned to the council. Even as Ryan passed, doubts lingered. Some aliens insisted it was luck, that humans could not possibly possess the skills necessary for such trials, but the council's observers could not deny the results. Ryan had succeeded where others expected him to fail. His human creativity, intelligence, and patience had carried him through. The third trial was a test of character and ethics. Participants were presented with a simulated crisis. A section of the palace was under threat, and the challenge was to save both the people and the delicate machinery within. Alien suitors often opted for brute force or technological superiority, solving problems with overwhelming power. Ryan approached differently. He assessed the situation carefully. He noticed the safest paths, prioritized the most vulnerable, and coordinated with other humans and willing alien assistants. Where others might have acted recklessly, Ryan acted with empathy, ensuring no one was harmed unnecessarily. He made decisions not only for efficiency, but for fairness and kindness. Princess Leora watched in awe as Ryan navigated the crisis. His calm and thoughtful leadership revealed qualities no alien technology could replicate. Where other beings focused on victory, Ryan focused on responsibility. His courage was quiet but unshakable. By the end of the third trial, Ryan had once again succeeded. He had proven that humans were capable of more than raw strength or speed. He had shown the council that courage, intelligence, Empathy and creativity were powerful in ways even the most advanced civilizations could not measure. Some alien suitors were visibly unsettled. Their confidence had been shaken. A few whispered among themselves, reconsidering what they thought they knew about humanity. Others remained skeptical, unwilling to admit that a human could surpass them in ways that mattered. Leora approached Ryan after the trials. "I am proud of you," she said softly. "You have shown more than courage or strength. You have shown wisdom, patience, and heart. The others may not see it yet, but I do." Ryan smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "I only did what felt right. I wanted to respect your world and its people. That is all." "But that is everything," Leora replied. "That is more than any gift, any display, or any promise the other suitors have offered." The council paused to deliberate, and whispers filled the grand hall. It was rare for a human to compete in such trials, let alone succeed. The news spread quickly among the palace staff, the aliens, and even neighboring planets who had sent observers. A human had proven himself not by power, technology, or wealth, but by qualities unique to his kind: empathy, courage, ingenuity, and integrity. Ryan's victory was quiet, but profound. He had not only passed the trials, but had earned a level of respect that could not be taken away. His success sparked curiosity and admiration among the younger members of the court, who began to question long-held assumptions about humans. Leora could not stop smiling. For years she had watched alien suitors fail to understand her, fail to see her as more than a symbol. Ryan had done the opposite. He had listened, observed, and acted with honor. He had faced impossible challenges and succeeded not because of superiority, but because of his humanity. Later, in the evening, the palace gardens became their retreat. Lanterns glowed softly among the trees, casting gentle shadows on the pathways. Ryan and Leora walked together, reflecting on the day's events. "You were incredible," Leora said. "Even when the trials were impossible for someone like you, you never gave up. You never pretended to be something you are not. That is remarkable," Ryan shook his head. "I just tried to do what was right. I relied on what I had, my mind, my heart, my determination. I did not know if it would be enough, but I tried." "That is more than enough," Leora replied. "You have changed my view of humans and perhaps even the view of some of the council. You have proven that being different can be powerful in ways no one expects." Ryan looked at her, his eyes reflecting the soft lantern light. "And you have changed me, Princess. You have shown me the beauty of this world, the strength of your people, and the value of courage that comes from kindness rather than power." As they walked, Leora felt a sense of hope and excitement she had never experienced. The alien suitors, the council, the palace itself, all seemed to fade in importance compared to the presence of this human who had entered her life. The trials had been more than tests of strength and skill. They had been a revelation. Humanity, though underestimated, possessed qualities that could surprise and inspire even the most advanced civilizations. Ryan had demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and empathy could conquer challenges that brute force and tradition could not. That night, as the palace quieted and the stars shimmered above, Leora and Ryan sat by a reflecting pool. The water mirrored the sky and the palace towers, but more importantly, it mirrored their growing bond. They were from different worlds, yet in that moment they understood each other. "Do you think they will ever accept me?" Ryan asked quietly. Leora looked at him, her gaze steady. "Perhaps not all of them, but that does not matter. What matters is what we have proven, that who you are, not what you bring, can change the hearts and minds of those around you." "You have already begun to do that." Ryan nodded. "Then I will continue, no matter what. For you, for this world, and for humanity." Leora smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her heart. For the first time, she truly believed that a human could not only be worthy, but could inspire hope, courage, and understanding in a way that no alien could. As the night deepened, the palace rested in quiet anticipation. The trials had ended, but the story was far from over. Ryan had proven humanity's worth, but greater challenges awaited, and the galaxy would soon see just how extraordinary a human could be. And Princess Leora, once lonely and shunned, felt a new strength within herself. The human before her had not only captured her attention, but had ignited hope in her heart. A hope that would grow into something far greater as their journey continued. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the planet Viridia, reflecting off the crystal towers of the royal palace. Princess Leora awoke with a lightness in her heart. After days of trials, she felt closer to Captain Ryan than ever. He had proven himself worthy of respect, admiration, and her trust. She had begun to believe that perhaps the impossible could happen. A human could belong in her world. But that day, the skies darkened unexpectedly. A shadow moved across the twin suns, a fleet of alien ships, black and menacing, appearing on the horizon. Panic rippled through the palace. The council gathered urgently, discussing strategies to defend the planet. Alarm signals echoed through the halls and citizens scrambled for safety. "Who are they?" Princess Leora asked, her voice steady but her eyes reflecting concern. "They are the Krathor," one council member explained grimly. "A faction that attacks without warning, seeking to conquer or destroy. We have not faced them in decades, but their fleet is large and their tactics are ruthless." Leora's gaze found Ryan. He was calm, but his eyes shone with focus. Unlike the aliens in the council, who debated endlessly and relied on advanced weapons, Ryan seemed to see possibilities others missed. He approached the council with a quiet confidence that demanded attention. "May I offer a suggestion?" Ryan said. "I may not have the firepower of the Krathor, but humans are good at strategy, improvisation, and quick thinking. We can defend the palace if we act intelligently and coordinate properly." Some council members frowned. "You, a human? What could you possibly contribute?" Ryan did not answer with words. He gestured to maps, simulations, and drones used for scouting the Krathor fleet. Using the tools available, he identified weaknesses in the enemy formation. He proposed a plan that combined defensive barriers with tactical maneuvers designed to outsmart the attackers, rather than overpower them. Princess Leora stepped forward. "He is right. I trust him. We should follow his guidance. He has already shown courage, intelligence, and creativity. Let us not dismiss that now." The council hesitated but had no better plan. They agreed, though reluctantly, to follow Ryan's strategy. As the Krathor ships descended, the palace defenses activated. Shields of energy shimmered over the towers and walls. Yet it was Ryan's plan that turned the tide. He coordinated human and alien crews to operate the defenses in unison. He assigned positions to each group based on their strengths. Where aliens could wield energy weapons, humans could focus on quick maneuvers, improvising to cover gaps. The battle began. The Krathor attacked with overwhelming force, their ships firing energy blasts that shook the palace grounds. Many alien suitors watched from their observation platforms, expecting failure. They underestimated Ryan and his human ingenuity. He moved swiftly among the command stations, giving precise instructions, adjusting tactics as the situation changed. Where the Krathor expected predictable patterns, Ryan introduced unexpected maneuvers, forcing their fleet to scatter and regroup constantly. Princess Leora watched, holding her breath. She had faced trials before, but this was different. The threat was real, and lives were at stake. Yet Ryan's calm presence and strategic mind inspired confidence. Even the aliens who doubted him began to follow his lead. During the battle, a group of enemy ships broke through the outer defenses, aiming directly for the palace's central tower. Ryan reacted instantly. He directed a small fleet of defenders to intercept, using clever flanking maneuvers rather than brute force. The human pilots, inexperienced by alien standards, followed his guidance perfectly. Together they diverted the attackers, saving the palace from certain destruction. The Krathor, frustrated by the unexpected resistance, attempted to overwhelm the defenders with numbers. But Ryan had anticipated this. He set traps, used decoys, and combined human adaptability with alien technology in ways the attackers could not predict. Slowly the tide turned. The Krathor fleet began to retreat, unable to overcome the strategy, coordination, and courage of those defending Viridia. As silence fell over the battlefield, cheers erupted among the palace staff and citizens. The alien suitors, who had once dismissed Ryan, now looked upon him with awe and newfound respect. Even the council, long skeptical, had no choice but to acknowledge his brilliance. Princess Leora ran to Ryan, relief and admiration shining in her eyes. "You did it," she said breathlessly. "You saved the palace. You saved Viridia." Ryan smiled humbly. "We did it. Not just me. Humans, aliens, everyone who worked together. That is what matters. You are extraordinary. Leora said softly. "Not just for what you did, but for how you did it. With courage, intelligence, and care. You've shown the galaxy what humans are truly capable of." Ryan shook his head. "I only did what anyone would do if they had the chance. I relied on what we humans know best. Thinking, learning, and working together. That is our strength." As the palace celebrated the victory, whispers spread throughout the court. Aliens who had once mocked Ryan now approached him with tentative respect. Some asked questions, seeking to understand the human methods and perspective. The council convened to acknowledge his contribution formally. Princess Leora watched all of this and felt a deep pride and admiration. She realized that humans, though often underestimated, carried qualities that even the most advanced civilizations could not replicate. Courage, ingenuity, empathy, and teamwork. These were human strengths, and Ryan had demonstrated them brilliantly. That night, the palace gardens glowed under the twin moons. Lanterns lit the paths, and the soft hum of Viridia's creatures filled the air. Leora found Ryan standing near a reflective pool looking at the stars. "You have changed everything," she said quietly, approaching him. Ryan turned, offering a small smile. "Perhaps, but I could not have done it alone. Your trust, guidance, and support made it possible. Without you, Princess, I would have struggled more." "You were never struggling," she said. "You were proving something far greater than skill or strength. You were proving the value of humanity, our ability to think, to feel, to act with courage and care. You've shown everyone that humans can be more than they imagine." Ryan looked at her, his eyes steady and kind. "And you've shown me something too, Leora. You've shown me the beauty of this world, the strength of your people, and the importance of trust and friendship. Together, perhaps we can do more than survive. Perhaps we can inspire others to see the galaxy differently." The princess felt a warmth in her chest, a mix of admiration, hope, and a growing sense of closeness to the human before her. The palace was no longer a place of isolation or judgment. It had become a place of possibility, where courage and heart mattered more than tradition or prejudice. In the days that followed, the council formally acknowledged Ryan's contribution to defending the palace. Aliens who had previously scorned him began to seek his advice, fascinated by the unique human approach to challenges. Even the young aliens of the court, curious and eager to learn, listened intently as he shared his methods. Princess Leora observed it all with a quiet pride. Ryan had not only saved her home, but had begun to change the hearts and minds of those around him. She realized more strongly than ever that humans were capable of greatness, sometimes in ways that could surprise even the most powerful civilizations. One evening, as they walked together along the palace terraces, Leora spoke softly. "Ryan, the galaxy has always judged humans as weak or insignificant. But today you've shown them differently. You've shown them what we truly are capable of." Ryan looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "I only did what felt right. Humans have always relied on courage, creativity, and cooperation to survive. Perhaps the galaxy will see now that those qualities are as valuable as power or technology." Leora nodded. "And I will stand by you, not as a princess bound by tradition, but as someone who believes in what you represent. Hope, courage, and the strength of the heart." The twin moons rose higher, casting silver light across the gardens. The palace, once a place of isolation and judgment, now felt alive with possibility. A new era was beginning, not just for Leora and Ryan, but for Viridia and perhaps the galaxy itself. The human had proven himself in ways no one had expected. He had faced impossible odds, outsmarted and outmaneuvered a deadly enemy, and inspired hope among allies and former skeptics alike. Princess Leora, watching him from beside the reflecting pool, felt her heart swell with admiration. She realized that she was no longer the lonely princess shunned by the galaxy. With Ryan by her side, she felt that anything was possible. The human had not only saved her home, but had also begun to transform the way she and her people saw the universe, and perhaps the way the universe would see humans forever. The morning air in the palace of Viridia was crisp, filled with the scent of blooming gardens and the soft hum of city life. The palace, once a place of quiet judgment and isolation for Princess Leora, had been transformed. The defense against the Krathor fleet had proven that humans were capable of extraordinary courage and ingenuity. Ryan, the human captain, had earned respect from many who had once doubted him, though some remained skeptical. Princess Leora stood in the central hall, her thoughts racing. Today the council would formally discuss her future, and the question that had haunted the palace for years. Who would win her hand in the new era of diplomatic unions? Alien suitors had once expected tradition to decide, but Ryan's actions had challenged every expectation. The hall was filled with dignitaries, advisors, and suitors from across the galaxy. Aliens of all shapes and sizes whispered among themselves, some curious, others uncertain. The council members, faces lined with age and wisdom, waited for the princess to speak. Leora's heart beat steadily. She had made her decision, but she would not act impulsively. She had learned the value of thought, courage, and empathy, just as Ryan had. Ryan stood beside her, humble but confident. He had faced trials, fought battles, and shown that humanity possessed qualities that could rival even the most advanced civilizations. Yet he did not seek praise or position. He only wished to stand beside Leora, to explore, understand, and protect the worlds they might encounter together. The council chairman, an elder of Viridia with silver feathers and a voice like rolling thunder, spoke first. Princess Leora, the council has witnessed the trials, the defense of the palace, and the courage of all who have come to seek your hand. Today, the question remains, whom do you choose? Leora took a deep breath. She looked around at the gathered beings, the aliens who had tried to impress her, the council who had watched every move, and the humans who had quietly but courageously aided in defending her home. And then she looked at Ryan standing quietly, offering her a small, reassuring smile. Throughout these days, Leora began, her voice calm yet strong. I have met many beings who are powerful, skilled and accomplished. Yet I have also met one who has shown me something far greater, not through strength, not through wealth, and not through titles, but through courage, kindness, and intelligence. The hall grew silent, every eye upon her. Even the skeptical council members leaned forward, eager to hear her words. This human, she continued, Captain Ryan, has proven that he can face challenges beyond what anyone expected. He has protected my people, respected my home, and shown bravery and creativity that inspire all who witness it. He has reminded me that true worth is measured not by what one possesses, but by the choices one makes, the courage one shows, and the heart one carries. Ryan's eyes widened slightly, though he remained composed. The council members exchanged glances, some nodding in quiet approval, others shocked by the princess's bold declaration. Leora took a step closer to Ryan. I choose him. Not because he is a human, not because he comes from a distant planet, but because he is the one who has shown me what it means to be brave, thoughtful, and true. Ryan, will you stand with me? Not as a suitor seeking favor, but as a companion, a friend, and a partner. Ryan's lips curved in a small, respectful smile. He bowed his head slightly. Princess Leora, it would be my greatest honor to stand by your side. A wave of murmurs swept through the hall. Some aliens were stunned, unable to hide their disbelief. Others began to clap softly, recognizing the wisdom in the princess's choice. Even those who had doubted humanity now saw a new possibility, a being from another world who could inspire courage, respect, and trust. The council chairman, after a long pause, nodded. So be it. Princess Leora has chosen her companion. Let this be a sign to all worlds. Courage, intelligence, and integrity are more valuable than tradition alone. May this union guide us into a new era of understanding. The palace erupted with celebration. Lanterns glowed, music played, and beings from across the galaxy offered congratulations. For the first time in her life, Princess Leora felt the full weight of joy and freedom. She had made her choice not out of duty or fear, but from her heart. In the days that followed, the palace and the city of Viridia were alive with excitement. Preparations for a grand ceremony began, one that would honor both the princess and Ryan, as well as the new era of cooperation between humans and aliens. Traders, artists, and diplomats from distant worlds arrived, eager to witness the union that symbolized hope and unity. Ryan, ever humble, spent the days helping wherever he could, organizing defenses for future threats, advising on logistics, and quietly assisting the palace staff. His human ingenuity continued to impress those around him. Where technology alone could not solve problems, he used creativity and thoughtfulness. Where arrogance once ruled, his humility inspired respect. Princess Leora watched him, her admiration and affection growing with every passing day. She realized that the galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries, But Ryan had shown her the truth. Humans could be courageous, clever, and compassionate in ways even the most advanced civilizations could not predict. Finally, the day of the ceremony arrived. The palace was adorned with flowing banners, luminous crystals, and exotic flowers. Aliens from across the galaxy attended, their curiosity tempered by respect. The council, once skeptical, now observed with pride. Humans from the Earth delegation stood quietly, honored to witness a human achieve what many had thought impossible. Princess Leora wore a simple yet elegant gown, shimmering softly in the light of the twin suns. She approached Ryan, who stood waiting, his human presence calm and steady amidst the grandeur. Their eyes met, and in that silent moment the words of promise and trust passed between them without need for speech. The council chairman stepped forward. By the authority of Viridia and in recognition of courage, wisdom, and heart, I declare this union sanctioned. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era, where differences are celebrated, courage is honored, and the value of the heart is recognized across all worlds. As the ceremony continued, Princess Leora and Ryan exchanged vows, not of obligation or tradition, but of mutual respect, trust, and hope. Their words were simple yet powerful, promising to stand together, to face challenges side by side, and to inspire others to see beyond appearances. The gathered crowd erupted in applause. Aliens and humans alike cheered, some moved by the symbolism, others by the demonstration of true bravery and character. The union was more than a celebration of two individuals. It was a recognition that humanity, once underestimated, could rise to inspire and lead through qualities that mattered most. After the ceremony, Leora and Ryan walked through the palace gardens together. Lanterns glowed softly, the air was filled with the fragrance of Viridia's flowers, and the stars above twinkled as if celebrating alongside them. "Ryan," Leora said softly, taking his hand, "I was lonely for so long, rejected by those who could not see beyond appearances. But you have shown me what it means to hope, to trust, and to believe in something greater." Ryan squeezed her hand gently. "And you have shown me that courage is not only in facing danger, but in choosing what is right even when it is difficult. Together we can explore, protect, and inspire, not just for ourselves, but for all who follow." The palace staff, the council, and even the aliens who had once doubted them watched from afar, inspired by the bond they had witnessed. Humanity, through Ryan, had not only proven its worth, but had begun to change perceptions across the galaxy. In the following weeks, the palace became a hub of learning and cooperation. Humans and aliens shared knowledge, ideas, and strategies. Where once there had been skepticism and division, now there was curiosity, respect, and partnership. Ryan continued to demonstrate human ingenuity, showing that courage, creativity, and empathy could solve problems that technology or strength alone could not. Princess Leora felt joy she had never known. She was no longer the lonely princess, shunned by alien suitors and isolated by tradition. She had chosen someone who embodied qualities that truly mattered: courage, integrity, and heart. She had chosen Ryan, and in doing so she had begun a transformation that would ripple across the galaxy. As they stood together on a balcony overlooking the city, the twin moons casting their silver glow, Leora reflected on the journey. The trials, the battles, the doubts, they had all led to this moment. She realized that humanity, often underestimated, possessed a strength far greater than anyone had imagined. Ryan, gazing at the stars, spoke softly. "The galaxy is wide, full of unknowns and challenges, but with courage, understanding, and heart, we can face them together." Leora smiled, leaning on his shoulder. "And together we will, not just for us, but for everyone who believes in hope, courage, and the power of the heart." The palace bells chimed, signaling the start of a new era. Humans and aliens alike looked toward the future with curiosity and optimism. And for the first time, Princess Leora felt a sense of belonging, purpose, and happiness she had never known. The human beside her had proven himself worthy, not through power, technology, or tradition, but through courage, ingenuity, and kindness. And in doing so, he had not only captured her heart, but had begun to inspire a galaxy to see humanity in a new light. As night fell, the